Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into some football predictions for Sunday, September 21st, 2025. But, these simple tips? They've got a hidden lesson inside, a lesson about how to think like a real analyst.
All right, let's jump right in. Our source gives us three pretty confident predictions for some major European matches. And on the surface, it just looks like a list of tips, but trust me, there's more going on here.
So the source is calling for some clear outcomes. Barcelona and Racing Santander are both tipped for these nice, comfortable 3-0 wins. But then you look at that Inter Milan match. Whoa, that looks like a nail-biter, predicted to be a 3-2 thriller against Sassuolo.
But honestly, the scores themselves aren't the most interesting part. You see, the source used one specific phrase in all three of these predictions. It's a small detail, sure, but it's our first big clue.
So that recurring phrase, our clue, was over 2.5 goals. Now, to really understand what's being predicted here, we have to decode what that jargon actually means. It sounds a little weird, right? I mean, how can you have half a goal? Well, you can't. It's really just a term used in sports analysis and betting to create a simple, clean line. Predicting over 2.5 goals just means you think the total combined score for both teams will be 3 goals or more. Who wins? Doesn't matter at all. Let's break it down. Say a game ends 2-1. Total goals? 3. So that's a win for the over 2.5 goals prediction. A 3-0 score works too, but a 1-1 draw or a 2-0 win, nope. Those only add up to 2 goals, so they fall short. It's a simple yes or no question about the total goals in the game. Okay, so far so good. We've got the predictions and we get the lingo. But this is where our source material gets really fascinating. It's got this hidden twist that completely changes how we should be looking at these tips.
This is the point where we stop taking the tips at face value and we start to dig for the real context. We're moving beyond the what of the prediction and into the all-important why.
Check this out. Right at the very end of the source text, almost like an afterthought, was this sentence. Now, this isn't just a comment, it's a direct instruction. It's the analyst basically telling us, hey, what I just gave you isn't the full picture.
So here's the crucial point. The source isn't just giving us tips to follow blindly. It's actually teaching us a method. It's showing us that any good prediction needs a solid foundation of data. The tip is the headline, but the data, that's the real story.
And the source is super specific about what's missing. First, injury updates. Is a star striker out for Barcelona? Is Getafe's best defender back from an injury? That kind of information could completely change the game. And second, previous meetings. How have these two teams played against each other in the past? Is there a pattern we should know about?
So let's pull all this together. What does this mean for how we should approach any prediction, whether it's in sports or, well, anything else?
This is the core difference right here. On one hand, you have the tip, the simple what, like Barcelona to win 3-0. You can either accept it or reject it. But on the other hand, you have the method. That's the powerful why. These are the questions that actually empower you to form your own conclusion.
And that's our key takeaway. The most valuable part of this source wasn't the predictions themselves. It was that final sentence, the clue that true understanding doesn't come from being told an answer, but from learning which questions to ask.
So I'll leave you with this question. The next time you see a headline, a statistic, or a simple tip, are you just going to consume it, or are you going to pause and ask, what are the injury updates? What's the head-to-head history? In other words, what's the real story behind the scoreline? That's all for this breakdown.